In this video, you will explore metadata, including what it is, what it does, and why it matters. By the end of the video, you will understand the critical role that metadata plays in data lakes. When it comes to a data lake, metadata is key. Without it, the data lake would be unable to understand where any of the data inside the lake was, how it was structured, or how to use it. The data would become re-siloed and inaccessible. Not much of a data lake in that case. To understand how metadata works, imagine that you yourself are a data lake. So as a data lake, you know that your job is to store lots of raw data so that it can later be used for business insights. But you need some way of keeping track of that data. Data takes a lot of space, and without some kind of classification system, things will quickly get confusing. If you thought of each data set as a book containing lots of information inside of it, a data lake would be like a librarian receiving lots and lots of books to stack on the shelves. But just like a library, you need a classification system. That's where metadata comes in. Metadata is like the classification system in the library. Just like a classification system, it doesn't recreate the information inside the book, but records information about the book, like the author, the publisher, the year of publication, and the category of the content. This is what metadata does too. It lets your data lake, that's you, record some basic information about all of the raw data as it's added. When the time comes to query the data and use it to process some insights, you'll have the basic information you need so that things don't get lost. How will this metadata be used? To understand this, it's best to understand how metadata itself is structured. Metadata is always held in a structured form. This is essential because it allows structured metadata to act as a map for the unstructured primary data in the data lake. This lets the system find the data in the data lake even if it's in a raw form. All of the information contained in the metadata file is recorded in this format. If the data lake needs to access information about one subset of the metadata, it just makes the appropriate request. At this point, you're probably wondering where metadata is held. The answer is a special repository designed to hold metadata known as a metastore. Metastores make sure that all the unstructured data in the data lake still retains some kind of map so that it can be found and operated on in the right way when the time comes. Without metadata, your data lake would quickly stagnate and become unmanageable. To use our metaphor again, the books in the library would stack up higher and higher, but you'd have no way of knowing what was in them. It would be too time-consuming to look through all of them, and eventually you'd have to start all over again with a new classification system to be able to get anything done. That would be bad news for you and your data lake. So next time you use a data lake, remember that its function relies on the metadata as much as it relies on the data itself.